So phase one is to get a shape. And there's just one piece of tape on here. So right now I'm looking for a shape down here. And as I make each individual cut, I'm coming down to take a look at it. Now maybe this needs to come a little farther forward. That's the thing. You just keep looking and looking. Of course, it drifts back. I need to space it out. Probably try to follow that inner fender line, right? Or I mean the inside of the outer fender, the outside of the fender, but you can see the gap in the backside. So I'm just gonna keep doing that, like something like that. Something like that may work. And then stand back. And once I get that bottom in, that's the restriction or the factor that says, hey, I have to go here. I can't go anywhere else, down, in, out, whatever. So once I get that established, I don't care if I'm straight out across the top yet. Obviously eventually it needs to roll into the top, but I'm working on just getting a pattern. Should it come vertical, or should it follow the angle of the grill, where it begins to radius out? All those things are considerations. So we'll just keep plugging away at it. Now, right now, I'm just looking for options, right? Whoops. I'm just looking for options. So here I've got a pretty consistent gap all the way down. I noted that I need to get past that valve cover to get some distance in it. Front view. Got a little strut rod holding it out. Front view. Now I'm creeping up a little onto the fender. We can see that. But it also would allow me to roll a little bit of an edge in there, so it sits on top of that fender. And then just thinking, yeah, and this is just kind of a mock-up. So now I got a radius that I'm coming around the fender, but I could do, let's see here, I don't know where the top would be. I don't like that. I'm thinking it's getting pretty loud, isn't it? But this would roll in, this would be at a taper, probably, maybe even down. And maybe even just teardrop a little bit. But that would roll up. It's hard to visualize right now. So there'd be an angle on here. Down to here. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you know, more like that. Again, there's going to be a grill on there, and that grill, yeah. So this is rolling up. But I got to keep it inside radius. Maybe something like that. Or then the grill probably, okay, so this coming out like that, whoops. And then the grill. Tapers out, but of course it's coming out, it's out at you. And it's filling in that space. Maybe something like that. I don't know. Boy. I'm going to have to continue thinking here.
To the edges of the paint, you'll notice it ripples a lot. The reason that's happening is because I am doing strings in straight lines like this.
Okay, so I put a bend in the cardboard, straightened it out with the top. Drew a black line on here with a Sharpie so I could follow the radius. I got a slight radius, bow this way, in this way. By design, strengthen the panel up. Cut that parallel with the grill. Still following the fender. Rising up a little bit. And still plenty of clearance now for the valve cover. So I'm thinking I'll make a piece right here that'll drift to 0, and I'll do a break in it, and a break in it, or maybe I'll just put it on the turnover on the bead roller and roll it down. So I'll make a piece that has a flange, rolls up gently, and rolls up gently that way. A Z channel, basically, but it needs to drift to 0. Now, I'm starting to get a vision of it. I still have to deal with the front. I don't particularly like how it squares out. You know, at the top right here. But it might work fine if it just drifts in. If it just drifts into 0. And the bottom will actually be easy. That'll just be a piece of angle. that follows the profile of the fender. And I'll just shrink and stretch it until it fits in there. Whatever that angle is, that angle will change as it's rolling in, but it'll set on the top of the fender down there. So that turns out that'll be simple, and that'll be a sharp bend because it's sitting on top of that surface. And then maybe I'll just for now whack that back off. This does appear to be a pretty good starting point for the scoop. You know, maybe I come back, you know, or radius back so it drifts into the flat panel where the grill will, the insert will go on there. So keep it on. Okay, I was sitting in my office and just got to thinking, I know this is going to be a radius, so I'll have to work on that. But I'm just trying to get the OD. It's excess of material, but a long gentle arc. And then here, I'll grab a semi-straight edge. So the grill, you know, might end on the hood something like that. Maybe even a radius like that, you know. And it'll sweep in and cover. And I'll have an edge. Where it slips into here and it'll fall into some location holes and then screw in from the backside. So I just want a shape for the transition from body color to the grill color. The grill color will match the door handles, will match the grill, front grill, you know, essentially what would be the chrome. And so now I've got it, chunk of cardboard in there, but I've got it following that shape. I put a front piece on, and now I'll unfold it. I use some excess material, but basically transfer that to metal. I would like this to be one continuous break. Okay, wait a minute. One continuous break, and then I will shrink that metal in this area to get that shape into it. So that's what I would like. I don't want to come in here and try to slice and weld. I want to try to achieve that kind of radius look up there in one piece. So that's where I'm headed. Okay, now I just pulled this off of the car. That's all I did. I just pulled it off of the car and brought it over here. And now we've got this all taped in right here. Okay. And as I push down, now this has got the, you know, it's off the table. Now as I push this down, I'm going to continue. You can see there is very minor wrinkle. We go up. So I should, you can hear the tape a little bit pulling and stretching, but I should be able to put one break all the way across here, start to form that in. But when it comes down to this radius, getting that's going to cause me some puckering up here. But hopefully I can just shrink it. That's a hell of a distance to use a kick shrinker on, but I might have to do a little dolly and hammer, but I'm going to try to attempt that. I'm not going to go 90. I'm going to go, something like 50, 45, 50 on the brake. Let's see what we can achieve. Okay, drew them out on some 18 gauge. And I use the same side of the pattern for both of them. So I like to bend up, bend down. Notice I write the word down. If you just write on a piece of metal, and I used to do this. Okay, I used to do that. And then when I held the metal, I didn't remember which was which by the time I got to the shear or the bent brake. So I usually write down or bend down and bend up. And in my head, it doesn't matter if I'm in a brake and this crease is up and this crease is down, or if this flange goes down and this flange goes up. This flange goes up and this flange goes down. It doesn't matter because they're mirror images. But I used to do that. Whew. Even bend. Well, if you write bend in the same direction, then you'd know. Just one of those things. Anyway, so I got them drawn out. I'll rough them in. Trim to fit, it says. See, trim to fit. Looks like 10, 5. I don't know. But anyway, I know what it means. Trim to fit. I'm such a hypocrite. So I left that long at the grill. I'll follow that line and I'll get the fitment, those angles in first, measuring down from the tops of the hood. Right? Because that's the most critical thing, is that that's a nice straight line down. The symmetry will be there. So, I just sheared, and got them into the shape. And then I always say, there's always room for that. I only throw away like stuff like that, strips and pieces. There's that's 14 gauge. All right. Now I've got two shapes, and I'll just have to clean them up and match this surface and this surface to the fenders, but this surface is a mirror. So that's where we're at. Happy with it. Very happy with it. Hold them together. Just a little bit of cleaning. Okay, now I've squared off my edges. See? Everything's squared up. And now I'm going to trim. I'm going to trim and smooth that. I took the burrs off with the flapper, and now I'm just going to trim and get these the same. Everything here the same. Okay? Okay, Fred. Whatever you say. Okay. So now you can see there's a little nicker right there, but it doesn't catch. And then everything else just flows. I touched the metal on both sides all the way around. I just took the edge off here. I'll have to take it off on the center. When I separate the panels. But I'm thinking I'll just touch this side here also. But it is a trim to fit. Nah, it's really not worth it, because that's got to fit right on top of the fenders. And if you've ever worked with fiberglass components, these, they came out of the mold and they were twisted, and this one still needs work. It's got a little twist on it. There, you can see it. Just right in here, I'm gonna have to cut it, pull it out to a straight edge, and then re-glass it in. This one, when it came out of the mold, I'm trying to think. Oh, it dropped on the inside. No, it raised on the inside. It was up, so I had to constantly push that thing down. It's taking shape now because it's, been blocked down, and when I was putting the front end on, and it had been sitting with that block in it for months, so at least a month. So it started to take shape, and now he comes in. You got to pull it a little bit, but now he comes in. But back to fiberglass. There is, they pop them out of the mold, and then they, cleaning them up as much as they can, and there's typically some variation, minor variation. So I want those to seal like the hood side seal down to the top of the fender. So in order to achieve that, they'll be custom trimmed. It's going to be basically very minor trimming. There are very minor differences between these two. I did trim. What did I do? I mocked up on one side, and I trimmed the other side. So anyway, making some progress. Guys, where were you when I needed your help? So I broke them. Got a nice, ouch, sorry. Got a nice gentle radius. Gonna do the same thing on this side, but I'm not gonna be able to shrink that. And the concept would be to shrink it so that this line goes straight across. I got the beans mixed in with the weenies here, so I think what I'm gonna do is pick a spot, a distance down on this line, mark it on both of them. Go up, leave an inch hanging down, fold the flap out of the way, because I took a tester that it was sharper than a 90, and then did the same thing. But it's going to be some hammer work and that kind of thing, but at least I can get a profile in it. That's got to come back down, guys. That curve up needs to be flat, and I don't know what I was thinking. So there you have it. I'll make it work. Okay, I'm bouncing off the walls here. I got quite a few things I got to get done today. So I folded this back. I shrunk this one. I started the camera on that one to show you what I was doing, but I was on photo, not video. Pushed the button and then proceeded. it missed the whole thing. Whatever. Excuses, excuses. But at this point, I'm trying to get these radiuses to match, right? And so I just started on this one, and I'll bring him up to this one. But I want to make sure that I got a profile that's consistent all the way down. But I'll get this one dialed in a little bit more, and then we'll take a look. Okay, TIG welded, ground. I didn't fill anything in the end because this is somewhere back here is where the hood comes off. I've got to find the point of intersection now and trim. That was the second one. It turned out quite a bit better, you know, with only a few minor pinholes. I have a lot of room to grow in TIG welding, but the thing is the results are great, and primer surfacer can fill those pits. But I'm fully welded, you know, it's what, here, you know, I'm fully welded on them, so it's whatever, it's fine. But anyway, I line them up, get the seam tight. Okay, starting the bend, setting from the bottom. Looks like this guy might be just a skosh lower, but visually they're the same. I'm not going to worry too much about that. You know, there's a lot of operations that went into this so far. And when I cut the pieces off, I threw them in the garbage. I can find one. Anyway, when I cut these pieces off of here, you know, this flag, I put the two pieces together and they were identical. So to the naked eye, I mean, they were identical. So could be a little bit of more curve in here and here, but all that'll get finessed when it gets, you know, this is just free, right? All that'll get finessed when it's going onto the hood side. So it's going very good. Now I got to come up with a plan to trim it out, or to trim the material. So we'll go with that. So I'm moving right along. Wheeled out. Just ran the wheel to try to straighten this edge as much as possible. I just barely got her clamped on there. But I think it's about ready. It's about ready to weld up. And I'm thinking about how I want to finish it off, you know, how the bottom is going to be, all that. But I think at this point, I'm almost ready to weld the top. This line is the hood line, or the bead line, pardon me, the bead line. I went back and struck that line to follow the rest of the body, right? And that'll be rolled into the hood. But now I'm going to take and mark a line 1/2 of an inch from the scoop, trim it, and then get ready to weld it in. I'll do that all the way around. There will be some adjustments on the bottom because I don't want it touching the fender. And I got a little bit of light right there. Okay, you can see a little bit of light right there. I think you can. Anyway, and I do on this side as well. This one's probably even a little bit higher, but I'm comfortable with that, you know, 1/8 inch or so. I'm comfortable with that because I'm going to pan that back to the hood. It'll come out and be relieved for the valve cover so that it won't interfere, and then it'll return back in here. So this will all be one structure when it's done. So that is coming along. I got a buddy that I do stuff for, we barter, and he found what I was looking for. I wanted the long bullet style headlights. These are 38 olds headlight. They're a 7-inch. He's got the guts, but these will then mount on, where we at, about right there. I'm going to clock them over here, probably give a little bit of clearance, but man, those will look cool. Those will look just cool. And I'll probably do the Chrysler crossbar. I'll fab up the mounts and the crossbar and all that. So very happy that I got that set of headlights. The headlights will probably integrate the turn signals with these new fancy LEDs and stuff. You want to try to keep the front end as clean as possible. Don't know yet, but that's another fun project, is to fab up all that. Anyway, so I'll trim my 1/2 inch around the perimeter of the scoops, and begin the arduous process of tack welding them on, fitting, getting them where they need to get. It looks pretty cool from the front. It looks pretty mean. Again, the headlight will block some of that to take that, what the hell, that squareness out of it. It looks really good from the side. And that's a good look. And then again, those scoops will be 3-dimensional, or the grills for those will be 3-dimensional. And whatever I need to do with this shape, I will do with it to get it to look right. I might continue. I did roll a little bit into it. I'll probably roll a little more into it so that it has some structure and strength in here. So as it comes around, it'll have a little bit of curvature to it. So I'm going to trim the 1/2 inch, get them located, and then get the shapes of the scoop. I don't want to go too much. I got a very gentle profile in it from just running it through the English wheel. But maybe I just leave it, because this could just touch in just a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see. And you can't see anything from the back because it narrows so much, but I think that'll look dandy. Just dandy when she's all done. All right, we'll keep plugging away at it. Okay. All trimmed up to 1/2 inch above the bead, 1 inch below the line, which is that bead. You know, the bead, that there's a bead, I guess. Anyway, now I'm going to scribe around. Remember, I'm only welding these 2 sides at this moment. Then I got to come in and do the bottom. So, what to do? I will scribe this. I'm going to scribe it down here, all the way around. And that material will have to be removed on both sides. Okay? But I'm going to have to get something to support it right here, because I'm going to lock it on the front, but I want to lock it on the bottom too. So I'm going to have to get something to support it. And I'm going to do a return, something that sits on the fender and comes around. But at this moment, I'm going to scribe it and get it where it needs to get. Oh, you know what? I have been looking all over for that. Crying out loud. Alrighty, so I came up with a plan. This distance here, and let me grab the tape. The distance the hood stands out is 1 3/8 inches, okay, to the inside of the sheet metal. And I need this to stand out 1 3/8 inches to the inside of the sheet metal. So now I can cut all of that out because you can see the sand marks and tigging on the inside. I'm gonna cut that. When I pull the hood panel off, I'm gonna mark this, scribe this. So I've got the location, and that'll just weld to the inside of this. Now I can cut this however I want to cut this this panel up, that, you know, up, remove the guts, and there you can see where it terminates. So I got plenty of fender there. There you can see it. See how the fender ends? Right under the valve cover, right there. So that's the point where I will bridge another piece on, and it will narrow up, pretty narrow, and then widen back out and grab that hood brace, or that hood pin right there. But it'll be after, in front of the valve cover. And then I can trim all these guts out of here. Of course, it'll be cut all the way to the top here, and the front will be cut all the way down. I'll probably cut just above that brace right there, right? And weld it in, and then I'll trim that and deal with that in a separate event. So it is taking some time, but the shape is coming in. And no, I didn't wreck the line on here. It's just the marks from cleaning that edge after I dollied it out and getting the shrink marks and all that out of it. So one side done. The other side is just tacked on. There, you can see it. So that'll roll up, and that'll be the opening where the grill starts. I don't know how I'm gonna. I might close this out like this. I don't know yet. I don't know how it's gonna look on the top. I just wanted material there for now. So coming. It's coming. Okay, got them cut out. Got them welded up. Don't have them cut out. Getting ready to cut them out. The thing is, I should show you. This is the other side. Welded up. I had a little hole I had to fill. But she welded really good. Didn't do any radiusing yet because I have to run a piece all the way down, a wide one here, and then it narrows up to clear the valve covers. So now I got that one hood side off. The hood follows this line, but with that bottom rib on the hood, this panel, this guy right here, this little trinket to hold everything together, if I were to cut this and weld that on, I'd never get the hood in. So I wanted that structure on this side that's just the mark to where that hood starts to radius, and that'll get just welded on the inside and cleaned up. All this metal stays. But I marked the profile of the hood. That's the farthest in mark. I'm going to take some 1/4 inch fine line. That's the bottom of the hood there. I just need to make sure I clearance it so that when I cut this, I guess it'll all come out. That's where that radius is that I just welded in. Right there. That's where he tops out. And so this I can just, for now, just flap it over, because once that radius gets welded into here, I'll trim everything out, and then all this will come out. It'll be new material into here, and then this will come out up to here. Yeah, but it'll have a new piece. This will be welded on with a bridge and that bridge will narrow to clear the valve cover and then widen back out to that piece. It's kind of hard to explain, I guess, but and then you can see my scribe mark. That's where the vice grip was. I can obviously just lay my panel on here and scribe it, but I marked it with a Sharpie, and then I also scribed it. It just makes that line stand out. Where was the, oh, that's the end. See that? It makes that line stand out so much better. This I'll just put fine line on, and I'll be 1/4 of an inch in. I guess it doesn't matter. This is the profile. I just want a consistent line and symmetry between the two. But the screw throughs for the grill will be kind of coming out into the hood at an angle, not straight. I want to see it from the side. So there will be 2 or 3 holes in here on the back side that screw up into the grill. And that's a surprise that I still have in a plan in the makings. So good, nice thing is I'm getting rid of all this flash rust. I'll have to sand some of this off, but this will all go away, and I won't have to deal with it. So we'll start cutting. Well, I've been going at it for hours and hours and hours. I got this cut out. It fit in there really good. So now I'm taking it on. But gotta save the bracket tray. And so that front bracket runs right down here. So that was, I had to cut that channel to fit the bracket in, re-weld the bracket, which is right there. You can see those 2 tacks. Comes across, and then tack it on that side, and then weld the bottom portion of the bracket or the sheet metal for that inner brace. This little flag right here. Okay, and so there'll be a pie piece that goes into there after I finish welding all this out. And of course, this, it seems scary at points. You can see now that it's all pulled together, it's touching right here because things are moving. Fortunately, it's keeping the hood pretty well lined up. It did pull quite a bit here. And all that, when I hammer and dolly, I put it in the wheel, and I'll get all that out of there. But I got to finish welding all the way across there. I have that channel tacked in. Just, you can see down on the bottom, I have it tacked in. Of course, that'll all get trimmed out. But so that's done. The other side is not done. Just sitting there. I mean, it's cut out. Just waiting to get this one in, but that took a lot longer. It popped. Oh, here, I can show you that bracket. So there's the bottom bracket, and I just cut a channel and left the webbing on. Cut a channel in, and then that was a spot weld that I had on it, and I drilled that spot weld out. And then that'll get welded into the flange portion of this one. So no harm, no foul, right? But once I get it continuously welded on both of them, then I'll wheel them again to just take the stress out of the metal. And with this, that's about 3/4 of an inch. I mean, that's perfect for a 2-inch wide, or a 1.5 wide, 2-inch roller, 1.5 wide. So that I can, once I get them ground down, I can wheel it and just bring everything back. This stayed really, really, really good. But of course it's bent there and there. So this was performing very well. This just took this metal like that. which is not a big deal. I mean, that'll straighten out. I got that nice break on here, so you know that'll flush out fine. So by and large, it is coming. It's just taking a lot of time. Actually, it's taking more time than I thought it would take. I planned on, my goal was to have the hood, these done this weekend, but that was not the case. So a little bit more on it. Okay, I'm back on the hood sides, and I've got it upside down right now. There's that bead, and I'm starting to fill in the bottom. So it needs to clear the valve cover in this area here. And I think I mentioned I got it upside down. I got it held in the soft jaw so that it keeps its shape. And I keep taking it in and out of the car to try to make sure that I get the profile right. Now you can see right there's a little crook. Maybe you can't see it, but it's got a curve, and then it's got a little sharp edge. So I continue to come back and dolly it just to make sure that everything is hitting. But at this point, if you recall, I left this material here. This is where it was cut. I can trim it and do whatever. And then this is where it wraps around to the scoop. Okay. So what I did on that and on this is I placed it on. I made a paper pattern for this because it's a radius profile and then it steps out. And I wanted to keep some clearance there. That's why there's that little step. But basically, you can see the triangle. Then I laid a piece of paper in, copied that profile because it's coming up the fender right there, right? So I copied that profile, transferred it to a piece of 18 gauge, trimmed the profile, and then rolled that 18 gauge in. Now in this case, I rolled it to the inside surface. I stayed with the edge, but rolled it to the inside surface of the sheet metal. So in other words, the top of this was flush with the top of this. And I tacked it in 3 spots. Went back and forth and checked. Okay, so then, now it's tacked in 3 spots. It's fixed on there. Then I took, because I can't get inside, I actually did get in with my MIG, and I've ground it, but I did get in and get as far as I can get. But I need to achieve 100% penetration, otherwise it'll crack. So with my 3 tacks, I went in and ground the metal at a 45-degree angle so that I would expose just until I could see the crack. Just until I can see the crack. I was getting through to the other side of the metal with a 45, and then I just tacked it all the way down. Spot tacked it all the way down, one after the other, blowing it off. Cut my tacks off and, just continued working my way all the way to the end, and then just ground my welds. Okay, you can see I overground a little there. If I can get there, overground just a little bit right in this area. It's not that big of a deal. Primer surfacer, I say that about every video, but we'll certainly cover that. And that isn't an exposed area, but it will be perfect when it's done. So now I need to transfer this. I want this whole thing to look like a stamped piece. So I need to transfer this in to follow along, just to give me a shelf so that I can clear the valve cover when I go on with the hood. So it'll very easily come up and down. You can see where I've been scratching the valve cover going up and down. But that hood follows this line up here. I do have some clearance. And I want to make it so that it looks, that's where the tin ends. So it'll start turning in right there and join the other piece of tin and return, so that you can easily take it up and down. And in no way will rocking it, because of the, it'll be up against here and here pulling it out. It won't rock in to hit the valve cover when it comes out, and that it goes in and comes out easily and simply. And so far, it has been doing that. I had some tight spots. I take it to the wheel, find it, and basically what's happening is the scoop is pulling in, especially on the radius here, so it's pulling back on the bottom. This gap continues to be robust, but this gap is increasing. And so hindsight's 2020, right? Don't do it every day. Didn't know what to run into. And I'm kind of thinking about the process as I build it, like so many of us do. But there's a lot of weld going on the bottom side of this, and just a break on the top side. So what's happening is that bottom is starting to shrink, and as I wheel it, I'm pushing the stress points out of the metal, but it ain't making it any longer right there. So that being said, I'll consider that when I go to the other side to make the process more efficient, but at the same time, we are making progress on this one, and I may need to weld a little strip, like, I don't know, it'll be less than 1/4 of an inch. It's the gap isn't that big, but to trim off and straighten everything out on the end of the other one, at least the bottom half. So anyway, we'll just keep plugging away at it, and I'll keep you posted. So basically, I made this piece I just took a piece and I bent it over 1/2 of an inch, and then shrunk it and stretched it and shrunk it and stretched it. It looks kind of convoluted because it follows this taper right here, and then it clocks to come in straight to this taper, because that's where the fender starts to come down. Here, I'll back up a little bit. Come on. So I'm MIGging this. I'm on the corner, and like I said, I cut this at a 45, shaved it down. This edge I kept long, and I drifted into that 45. I made sure this piece followed, tucked under here, and then followed all the way around here. First, I welded these ends. I tacked it, of course, because it followed the profile. I tacked it, and then I clamped and tacked these two. I welded the inside. You can see my heat signature is very small, but there. I welded the inside, and I'll finish grinding that just like the rest. But there's all kinds of folks that say, you don't weld a corner and all that kind of shite. And there's some truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. But I want this profile, and I can't form it at this juncture. And this is the first of two, and I'm following the process. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to relieve this a little bit and have that form into there, and this will form into here as well. I got it up to that width, but I'm just going to drift it back in because I needed to clear that. Now, on this side, I'll test fit it, but I think this is going to have to be sharper than 90. This was all 90 where it rolls, but this might have to go sharper than 90, but I'll test fit it in there. You can see my shrink marks on there and stretching, of course. Shrink and stretch to follow that profile. And then I just twisted it with my hands. It's just 18 gauge. Twisted it with my hands until I got a shape, and then of course cut the hood profile out of it, the scoop profile out of it, and then tacked it in on the front, welded it on the back, and then came back and welded it on the back here with plenty of air, just maybe an inch, cool it down an inch, and just keep that heat signature as small as possible. Okay, this is about 10 minutes later. So now I got a profile that follows the fender. Okay, and see how it drifts into there? All right, kind of like many things in life, It's not perfect, but it's very satisfied. I'm very satisfied with it. Okay, I dollied a little across the top to try to get some of the, you can see some shadow lines, one there, one there. Just kind of dollying that out. We'll sharpen that line up a little bit more as I think about it. But as all this welded on, this puckered a little bit. The bottom shrank in, and you can see, you know, it drifts, and then it gets pretty good there. The rear gap, that maintained very, very well. So I'm going to have to add material there. And then looking on the inside, we can see that the brace wraps around the valve cover. And I'll pop it out now. It's kind of a two-hand operation here, because it gets comes straight up on these pins. I'm going to set the phone down. You're going to look at the sky. Okay. So anyway, I lifted it up, and you can see it's got a little bit of twist right here. I'd like to pull that out, but I set it on the bottom pins. I line the top pins up. It goes down. Okay, and pulling it up, we'll walk over to the bench. Throw some light on. And then here, I finished TIG welding the inside of this. And then, I don't want to spill my coffee, I dressed the whole inside and tied everything out. So now there's a continuous band. It's rolled, right? It ties in and grabs everything. So now I got some structure in there, and it stays together good and taut. All right, got the front piece TIG welded on. You can see a little bit of undercut on it. Played with the wheel a little bit, just and then I took and I ran a piece of molding. This isn't permanent, obviously it's got to get painted, but you know, something in the neighborhood of 1/8 of an inch when it's compressed. So that's what sits on the fender so that it doesn't scratch the paint. And this, of course, is risen above the fender. So now we'll slip it on. Let's see here. Got to get the front hole first. Oh, I've been wheeling and I've been dealing. Get the rear in. Oh, single-handedly. And then get the top in. Oh, this is a two-hand operation, but it just keeps slipping. But I made the lower posts longer than the front, so there. Oh, it's right there. Get the rear one in. Oh, I came out of the back. Okay, there is just a very minor amount of tension on it. There. Now it's sitting on the rubber. For the most part, it's hidden. You can see the rise above, but then I've got a gap all the way down. One thing that I noticed after all the wheeling is, now this is in fact up just a little bit. So I need to fix that. But I did get the front gap dialed in. Oh, it sits on there. I wheeled and tapped and got it ready for the most part, ready for finishing it out. So I have to address that though. That is not going to work. That'll have to drop to get lined up. It's hard probably to see because of this fiber reinforced in here over the weld on there. But if I try to zoom in, see, now you can see this is the shadow line. It's got to come down a good, what, 3/16. So, yeah, not a horrible deal, but just going to basically have to cut it and drop it. Of course, this is a declining radius, so it's not going to kill me, but I do have to drop it, put a strip in, and what a pain. But it's what it takes to get it where it wants to go.